HTML. It's pretty great. We use it all of the time. It has a ton of different elements that we can mount in our applications. But how good are these elements? Let's rank every HTML element. This should be fun. Huge shout out to ProbablyEmbed, Netties on Twitter, for making this tier list for me because I did not want to put the effort in. But now we can actually use it to compare all these elements in silly ways. Before we go any further, I think it's important to have a top and bottom element to represent like what an S tier is and what an F tier is. There's a lot of different things here to use, and just arbitrarily placing something in the middle, that's not going to fly. So we need to have a good like range to start with. So marquee is obviously S tier. We need something good for F tier, something that's truly useless. Did H6 make it in? That's a bad tag. Like H6 represents a failure of document structure, especially if H6 is being used when you're not using H1 through 5. Yeah, we have H6 as D and marquee as S. So now we need to go through every other element and see where we would put it. Let's start with block quote. So this is with no CSS. It pushes this thing out like a block and lets you cite something. But that citation isn't usable to the user in any way unless they're using some type of plugin or accessibility tool. And I don't even think you could programmatically make this citation do anything. I could be wrong on that. I'm leaning pretty weak here. Like this is useful for readers in like reader mode, but it doesn't actually provide much value and it has a weird padding element. So you'd have to make a lot of changes to this to make it useful. I'm not going to say it's terrible, but I'm feeling a strong C for block quote. H3. Oh, H3. This is actually tough because like obviously H1 and H2, baller, banger. Everyday uses. H3 is a bit weird because it doesn't fit in the actual title because you have your H1, which is the title, and then H2, which is the subtitle. So what's H3 for? Is it like subheadings within? But at the same time, whenever I'm writing a doc in Notion, I default to 3#, which is the equivalent of H3. It is very useful in your markup and is potentially useful for like indicating where different breaks are. And also, I found that a lot of tools that will like create a table of contents from a page, they'll use H1 and H2 as the things you can link to, and then H3 won't. I'm leaning a B tier on the good old H3. HR. I don't like that it's not self-closing. That I hate. Oof. The fact that you just do this and there's no closing tag, I feel like I should deduct points for that. It is self-closing, but self-closing should have a closing. Okay, does the BR tag have the same issue? Also, I just realized that W3 Schools is .asp. Are you kidding? Okay. BR, at least the examples, doesn't use closing tags either. People are saying I have an issue with HTML and I'm too JSX pilled. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I am what I am. I'm feeling pretty good about this one. I'm between B and A tier. We'll put it high B, and depending on how others go, we might have to bump it up to A later. So, data. Oh, data. What is this even style by default? And this is just for lists. Yeah, this is just for SEO and I guess accessibility reasons. Weird, very strange, and I don't like the examples they're using for any of this either. I'm leaning bad. We'll call this a D tier. Sup tag. I have no idea what this does, but I'm leaning or S tier just because it's sup. Superscript. I was cool with this. Yeah, easy S tier. SVG. What do we do with SVG? I love SVGs. I'm leaning S tier, but I've had problems with SVGs. Should browsers handling a tag poorly be held against the tag? Because I have had a lot of issues where I have an SVG with some style behaviors on it that work great in Chrome and just do stupid shit in Safari and Firefox. Does the tag deserve a lower rank because of what the browsers are doing to it? What the fuck? This is all memes. Looks like a strong yes here. I'll come check this again near the end, but we're looking really strong on the yes here for the elements browser support should be accounted for. So we have to go A tier for SVG, I'm sad to admit. But if Safari and Firefox sucked less, easy S tier, possibly my favorite in the list. But the fact that I've had so much pain directly inflicted by trying to style this element makes it hard for me to give it a tier that high. Whereas the current things in S tier, like marquee and sup, those have never caused anything but joy. T-foot. The fuck's a T-foot? Oh, the foot of a table. I don't know where I want to rank this yet. I think B tier is fine for it. It's useful to have that. Progress. Oh, the progress element. I am really happy this exists, but some of the more astute of us might have noticed a problem here. That can't change. This element does literally nothing without JavaScript. It's not like it kind of works without JS. It's literally a stationary bar without JavaScript. So that's something worth accounting for here. But I do love me some semantic HTML. I do like having a thing that is called progress with a value that I can increment. But I don't love that it's a string value and that the max is also a string value. And I have to trust whatever the browser's doing to parse that all correctly. There's a lot of faith necessary with progress. But that's always the case with progress. Browser's not helping me do this. I need me some bad built-in estimations. They're going to give me mediocre styles. I need mediocre estimations too. So what's the alt text on this one? They could say the connection is probably lost, but it's more fun to do native time averaging to give you hopes that if you wait around for 1,160 hours, it will finally finish. Oh, Windows. Anyways, I like this. I'm happy this exists. I don't think I would use it very often because I would just forget it exists and be custom styling the thing anyways. But wouldn't complain seeing it. I think that fits in B for me. This is an important one. The tag that started it all. There is no HTML document that doesn't start or end with this tag. That is also a semantically correct document. But I am struggling to think of where we put it because on one hand, none of these are possible without the HTML tag. So all of the best tags are only here because of this. However, none of the worst are possible either. And without HTML, we never would have gotten any of these atrocities. And I think we do have to hold HTML accountable for their war crimes. And we can't let any criminal high up on this list. So necessarily, I think HTML has to get a D tier because chain's only as strong as its weakest link. And it is responsible for everything we're suffering with here. H4 is just H3, but slightly worse and slightly less useful. So I like the idea of H3, H4, and you know what? Let's just throw H5 in here too. So H3, fine. Don't love it, but it's fine. H4, H5, easy C tier, and then D tier, H6. Like you don't need that many titles. Don't do it. And now we have figure. Figure as an optional caption element. Oh, I've seen this before. Yeah, with the fig caption. I've never actually used this. Like I've done it in demos and things before. Is this styled? Yeah. Oh, they styled this hard. But I'm going to get rid of all of this. What if I get rid of these? That looks fine. Yeah, it's mostly just a semantic block. It doesn't do anything with built-in styles. Very semantic, though. I almost want to make like a semantic-only tier. If Wikipedia is using this in their little thing in the corner, we give it B tier. If they're not, we give it C tier. And take a look at the HTML for this. Image A. It's not looking good to the figureheads. The first instance of figure is in line with Tim Berners-Lee. I specified when I said we were doing this check, if Wikipedia is using this in their little thing in the corner, we give it B tier. And look at that. This one is not a figure. With that, C tier. I'm sorry, figure. You were using it on the page, just not where we had specified. It's not supposed to be a figure. Well, if it's that hard to understand, then maybe the element's bad. Anyways, we have work to do. We have to go over site. Does site have styles built in? Don't actually know. Oh no, they're using it along with the figure and fig caption. Oh, they wrap the A tag with site. What does it even do then? Anything? To mark up the title of a cited creative work. This should have been a property on links, like A type equals citation or something. This being a separate element, that's dumb. I think we only have one option. Sorry, site. Hang out in the D tier where you belong. Do better next time. And next is strong. Strong was in the first HTML release, right? Like strong's an OG. My question for strong is, did we have bold as a concept when strong was made? Because not naming this element bold was something that confused me even as a kid, like when I was first playing with HTML. And I want to understand why. They go with strong because the word bold wasn't being used for this yet. They go with strong because they had another reason. It's not bold, it's semantic. I want to see how this gets justified. Indicates the content to have strong importance, seriousness, or urgencies. Browsers typically render it in bold type. Typically. God damn it. Why did we do this? Do they have like a when it happened? Oh wow, every browser supports it. Yeah, the use of typically here hurts me. It hurts me deeply. I feel like it would be if I put this anywhere below B tier, people are going to be mad because I can't justify it. Oh god, I have to be really careful about CSS puns this stream. We'll throw it in strong. Object. Objects are for JavaScript, not HTML. Instant D tier. Nice try. Next, T-body. Okay, so we have T-foot. So I can't put T-body lower than T-foot. We need to make sure these are all aligned. So I'm thinking T-foot here, T-body here, and then T-head here. There we go. Perfect. Next is opt group. What the fuck's an opt group? A grouping of options. Oh, that's really nice. That's really good. We're giving that an A for sure. That's a strong A. That might even be S tier. People are saying S. Yeah, we'll give it an S. That deserves an S. Strike. That's strike through, right? This feature is no longer recommended. Deprecated HTML4 and XHTML1. Still renders. I like it. So knowing that it's deprecated, but it still works. Deprecation is 1 point off, so that knocks us from S to A. Easy A. Next is H1. H1 is a tough one. It has default styles and they're not particularly good, but it's also the core element. Like, it's so useful. Okay, people are outraged that strike got A tier when marquee got S tier, even though marquee is deprecated. Well, before marquee was deprecated, it was S plus tier. It was its own tier, and the deprecation knocked it down to the mere mortal land of S. So accept it. Marquee is our Lord and Savior. Be careful or make him his own tier again. I'll do it. I'll make a marquee tier. Watch it. Anyways, we were talking about H1. I think H1, I'm between S and A. I'm going to say I don't like the default styles enough that it's hard to put it in S, so I'm putting it in A. I think that's fair. And where's H2? I'll just get that one over with too. Am I blind to dumb or both? H2, yes, I am top, but we figured it out. Cool. Fig caption. So we've already went over figure. We've already yelled at site. But fig caption actually has a semantic use and is around a thing that doesn't have its own element yet. I broke the table. How did I break the table? Oh, I did break my table. That's a very fair point. I'll be careful about that. I'll just put them all the way on the side, so it's less likely I do that. I'll keep them safe. Fig caption, I'd say it's slightly higher than figure, but you have to use figure to use it. So I'm just going to put it to the left of figure. And now we're in one of my favorites, code. So I have to admit my biases here. I'm an engineer, but this is a list about elements, which we're the ones using anyways. So I think our bias is a little bit okay here. I'm thinking S tier. It is hard to style. It's hard to get your code tags to look right, similar to your editor, but it's a real pre tag with mono. People are saying it needs to be wrapped in a pre. That's not true. I've used code tags without pre before. See? Look at that. It's mono automatically. You can inline it and shit. If I delete all the styles, it's still mono. See that? Good shit. Even for just being mono by default, I think that code deserves some points here. I'm putting code in A tier. Syntax highlighting would have pushed it up to an S, but I'll give it the A. Sub. What the fuck is sub? The subscript. Oh, this is like super. Well, sup. Sup and sub. That makes sense. So subs... I broke this again. Sub is S tier. I don't think sup would be happy if sub was as high as sup. Come on. So sub will be right below sup. That way order can be maintained here. Sub on top, sub on bottom. Picture. Picture is a lot like image, just worse. I don't understand the behaviors that are different with picture. I just know they make me angry. Yeah, it's source tags and then an image tag to offer alternatives. Yeah. What's this media orientation portrait shit? Is that like if it's landscape, it will be a different image? I hate this. I do like the ability to set multiple sources on an image tag. I have used that a few times. I forgot the picture is the thing I wrap it with because I wrote a custom component and never touched it again. Picture is pretty useful, specifically because of source. So I'm going to go find source. We're going to give picture an A tier. Where is source? So source, I'm giving it an S tier because source is fucking lit. Source is so good. Now we have TD, table data. I like table data. I think it's a nice element. Considering how clueless we were early on about setting all of this up, it served its purpose, and it still works well. Oh, I broke the sub-sup alignment. Thank you. Those are going to break a lot. TD, I'm thinking A. We feel good with an A tier here? I'm putting an A tier. I'll ignore y'all. Table data was layouts before layouts. If you ever had to write HTML before we had Flex, then you probably feel worse about table data, but I want to pay respect where respect is due. It got us really far. So I'm giving it that A tier. How about option? Option is interesting. So we have op group. I love op group. I think we have to give it at least an A. So I will do that for now. EM, how many different bold equivalents are there? Because EM is bold, right? Oh no, that's italics. EM is italics. We have I. Why? EM is to I as strong is to bold. Where did I put strong? I put strong in B tier. I is deprecated. Are you kidding? Where? This doesn't say it's deprecated. Be careful around I, man. I'm putting it up there because I don't want to lose it. I don't want us to lose this tag, and I want to make sure W3 understands. We treasure the I tag. Don't take it from us. Don't do this to the poor I tag. What the fuck's WBR? I swear, some of these are just made up. The line break opportunity element. Word break. It's not even, it's what it stood for is word break, but they realize that's a bad name for it, so I can see how this would be useful, but it seems like the shy element is better. I don't know why I would use this instead of the dash. Yeah, I hate this. This is a bad element. What's the difference between TH and T-head? I hate that those are different things. TH is TD, but in T-head. I hate HTML. Did y'all see what happened there? Because the rows alternate in color, When you use a TR for the header that has a custom color, it's counted as one of the indexing. So when I switch these back to T-head, the color swaps because this is technically the first one now, where before the first was being overridden. So this gets an F for using TR where it should have been a T-head. Now the question is, can I TD these? Yeah, but they're not styled correctly. I do like that you could use this in a row to give it like a column like that. I was going to give it a bad score until I saw this use. This is a good use. Check the CSS tab. I know this will scare me. nth child even, swap the color. I hate the order of these things. Like this should have been first or maybe last. I'm not sure, but these should be next to each other so it's clear the relationship between them. I'm okay with this. Good, not great. It's going to break everything now that we have enough stuff in A tier. Whatever. Select. Select is goated. Select has also gotten better over the years. Like it's one of the few elements that consistently improves. And you can do a lot of stuff with it. I feel like we're not using select enough in general, and I'm going to S tier it. Head. Oh, head. People are saying TH is B. You know what? I was confused enough by its behaviors. I'll move it down to B. That's fair. Select S, TH, B. Head is an optional element. I kind of knew that. So I have feelings on head. On one hand, I love it. I love that there's like a place to put things that don't get rendered, but give you behaviors. But on the other hand, when you have a code base with many components that need to put things in head, the patterns around sharing head are not great. And knowing how complex head gets in those scenarios, it's hard to give it an S tier because it's a great element, but it's a great element before the component era. So I think we're going to put head next to T head in A tier, but I can't give it an S tier due to the nature of how complex things are with components. UL, unordered list. UL's a classic. I don't love it, but it's a classic. So I'll throw that in B tier. Where's OL? Because I would like to give OL a higher score. Yeah, OL. Once your lists are ordered, we're having more fun. So I'll throw OL in A tier and UL in B tier. I know that one's going to piss some people off. Let me know in the comments why I'm wrong. U. What's U? Is it underline? Yeah. Semantic HTML people. Wow. Tailwind sucks. It makes your HTML unreadable. What about my syntax? I need to be able to read my HTML. Also, HTML purists, that's so helpful. That readable markup. We're D-tiering. Math. I hate math. Instant D tier. Text area. Ooh. I'm conflicted on text area. This is a tough one because it's necessary. It's like one of those necessary evils. But God, doing anything with it can be really annoying with styles especially. I feel like too much of my life is spent in text area to not give it an A tier, but it hurts to. Link. What is like the described difference between link and A? Oh, I mean, it's just, I'm stupid. Link is just how you embed things in your head tag. It should always be in a head tag, right? Link is metadata only, yeah. People are saying to please reconsider math. I'd reconsider making an F tier and putting math in that. Keep math out of my browser. I didn't learn JavaScript so that you assembly people could make me learn what algorithms are. No, go back to Primeagen stream. We're here to talk about HTML. Math is the lowest tier. Link is a necessary thing that powers most of the internet. I'm putting it here. People are saying I need to look at it in MDN for math. God damn it. Top level, MathML. What are you guys doing? Why are you math people like this? Oh God. We don't need LaTeX in the browser. We don't need this. No one asked for this, guys. I might even call this the LaTeX tier. There you go. I reconsidered math. Are you happy? Hope y'all learned your lesson. KBD. So y'all invented your own new programming language in my HTML. Oh, this is actually really good. I didn't know about this. This is dope. And that's not styled, man. Oh, they did style it. How does it look unstyled? If this was styled, goated. The fact that the default is just a worse code tag, painful. I'm leaning C tier because it's unstyled. It should have, like, if anything should have default styles, it's this. Because your operating system could have different appearances based on it. Y'all get C tier, put some styles in the fucking standard. Area. Area is an interesting one, actually. I do have experience with area. I think I have to rate map first. Because map's another one of those ones where it's like, if you need it, it's great. But if you try to squeeze it somewhere where it doesn't belong, you'll feel a lot of pain very fast. I am so bad at reading things from lists. Where the fuck? Yeah, I think you actually missed one. You only missed one so far, Embed, at least that we know of. But since map is missing and area is only useful in a map, I guess we have to D tier it. Canvas. Instant S tier. We need to let those Flutter people have some chance, right? TR. My issue with table row is that there's no table column option. Like, tables are inherently top down, and I would like a left to right table sometimes, but that feels like it's unfair to table row. Like, that's a problem with table, not TR. So I'm going to give TR a B tier. It also feels like one of those things that shouldn't be necessary, but is. I'll give them their B tier. Unnecessary nesting. They can have it. Details. Details is pretty good. I've seen it used well. Is this with styles? Let's kill all the styles. And it has default behaviors that are good and default styles that are usable. That's an S tier. That's how you do good HTML. A lot of these other elements need to learn lessons from there. Okay, meta. A tough one to rank, but it is a handy one. I'm feeling A because it's nice having the one element for so much with your SEO, but it doesn't make your website any better or worse like itself. So yeah, we'll give it an A tier. H group. This is just a semantic one, right? And even worse, this will target any H group with an H1 and a P in it. Yeah, I'm not feeling good about this one. Take away the style, see what happens. Let's do it. Yeah, I feel like this is just a reappropriated div. Not loving that. D tier it is. P. P tier is a classic, a GOAT, an all-timer. What the fuck is the mark? Why does my CTO have a component or an element and not me? Oh, that's actually nice. Is that no styles? That's just the default. It highlights shit. That's underrated as fuck. That's actually really useful. I'll throw you in the S tier as well. Audio. I have a lot of feelings about audio tags. I've been to hell and back with audio tags. It has been a rough journey, and I have a lot of feelings. Specifically, the amount of effort you have to put in on the JavaScript side to make it work is so painful. Audio's caused me way too much pain to give it anything higher than D tier. It's not latex tier because music and math are inherently like, fuck, music is technically math, isn't it? Fuck, you're right. Audio's latex tier. Why would we put music in the browser? It was a mistake. You're right. No script, instant S tier, obviously. There's no better way to tell people that you don't like them than putting something mean in the no script tag. Button. Button's just a worse div. D tier for sure. Just like the div's right there. Why would you use button? Come on. Dialogue. How do we feel about dialogue? Tab index can't be used in the dialogue element. Interesting. The fact that there's 4 paragraphs before the usage notes, before the examples, that's a bad sign. It even has its own open dialogues via HTML dialog element.show is preferred over the toggling of the Boolean open attribute. This feels like there's 15 different ways to work with it. I'm not feeling confident about this one. I'll be honest. It has potential. So we're going to C tier it, and we'll see where things go. People are going to be mad, and that's fine. Be mad all you want. Style tag. So the thing to know about this one, this is the style tag, but we already have a link tag, and we can inline our styles. Why would we have a style tag as well? This is the worst way to do styles. I could just inline all my styles. It's unnecessary. It's irrelevant. And it's a whole different language, too, that you're writing inside of it. I'm not going to say LaTeX here, even though it is a different language in our beautiful, syntactically pure HTML. But since there are better ways, we're D-tiering. Main. I feel like main is useless. Main is one of those like purist tags to make people feel good about themselves. Semantic. Yeah, main is the thing after head. It's required for accessibility. Main landmark. Okay, I like the fact that it lets you say which things should and shouldn't be included in the reader. I'll B tier it. Pre. Oh, pre. I do love my bad ASCII art. In bad ASCII art, it's not possible before pre, so I think I have to S tier it. Now, what the fuck is Q? Is that shorthand for quote? Yeah, inline quote. And look at that, a site tag, because we don't need a site element. Crazy. That's unstyled. Okay, here's the real test. If I copy paste this text, does it have the quotes in it? If it does, we're cool with it. If it doesn't, this is unusable. It's looking like it doesn't. Unusable, not LaTeX tier, but D tier for sure.
Don't put text in my DOM if I can't select it.
Image. Image necessarily S tier. It's a classic, a GOAT, goes where it belongs. Script. This is an HTML element tier list. We're not letting those JS people come here to ruin it. No different languages in my markup. LaTeX tier, for sure. Easy LaTeX tier. Data list. Oh, data list. Does that have any behaviors or is it just contains options? That's cool for built-in behaviors. And you link a data list to an input. Yeah, I like this. I'll A tier it. Summary. How does one rank summary? I don't think it has any behavior or built-in styles. Oh, wait, yeah, it does, because it's the summary in a detail view. That is really nice. I think I have to S tier it because of how good details is. It's just like details keeps getting better. That's such a good element. Title. Title, I'm going to treat the same way I treat it with head because it is really useful. It's a classic. Everyone uses it. I think I need to go lower on title actually because it's a worse meta. Now that we have meta, we don't need title anymore. And it still has the same problems that head has. So I'm going to B tier title. Nav. Nav is again the same deal that we had with main where it doesn't do anything, but it is very accessible. It is really nice having a separate element for that. And honestly, I've had a lot of fun doing custom styles on websites by selecting the nav element. So I'm throwing that in A tier. Speaking of A tier, A gets some really strong points in simplicity, in how short the name is, in usability. href is a shit prop. And the fact that we all use it. Actually, do you know what href stands for? Yes, no. Are you kidding? What a self-own. I've actually searched this before. I don't know what it is. Hypertext reference. Yeah, cool. Embed, you got it right. I've looked at it before and still didn't know. We're at a 50-50 here. Not even. Yes is losing by a bit. href not being like URL or 2 or something. Like, I get it was made before we had a lot of these concepts. It does not excuse the terrible naming. href being the thing that we reference for so long. Bad. C tier. S. That's a strike through, but shorter. So it's strike through, but worse semantically, because you don't actually know what it's saying. I'm going to give this a B tier because it's the same element, but it's less semantic. Track. What the fuck is track? The embed text track element. For captions, this name is being wasted. That should be a different thing, and we should be able to use track for other things. No, waste. D tier. Caption. I feel like we've done like 15 things that are captions. We had detail, summary, caption. How many of these did we have that are just captions, but different versions of the same thing? I'm thinking C tier. C for caption. We're almost at the end, boys. Let's just blast through a few quick, and then I'll go clean up the annoying ones. Body? Well, apparently main is semantic now and necessary, so I don't see why we need body anymore. We have head, that separates things. Body is just the default. So they're one of those things from the past that we don't need, so I'll throw that in D tier. Abbreviation, I've never seen this one work right, so also D tier. Video, again with audio, no. Video, you're writing your own video element in the end. What other one's going to do quick? Form, absolutely based. Form is S tier. It's how we get away with not using JavaScript. This whole thing's about HTML, not JavaScript. So based, exact opposite of the script tag. Article. Article I like for targeting, but it's not a super useful element. Where did I accidentally drop that? I didn't mean, okay, article, C tier. That's actually fine. C tier is a good place for article. Okay, B is just bold, but unreadable. So I'll D tier that for having to remember that B is bold. BR. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about BR. I like it. I use it a bit, but it does have weird behaviors, in particular around targeting and flex and shit. But I do miss the days of BR. I'll BR B tier. Table's goated. Without table, we would not have email, and without email, we would not have jobs. So tables, easy S tier. Iframe lets you put other people's HTML in your HTML without even needing JavaScript. So that's another easy S tier. That's like double the HTML, possibly even more. Why would anyone not like that? And div. In the end, any of these elements could be a div, except for the ones that can't. So I think div is the S of all S's. And input. Input's another one of those elements where you have to weight a lot of things. And input does a lot of evil. Inputs also have a lot of different behaviors that are supported in some places and not others, like date pickers. Input is, like, in a lot of ways, the bastard child. But at the same time, it is essential, which means I think it fits right in the middle. So I will B tier it for now. Input's the best and worst, so it goes in the middle. Field set. What the fuck is field set? Is it like a default? Groupings and forms. I've never needed it. I'm sure it's cool. C tier. Slot. Web components. Web components are evil. Web components don't embrace HTML for what it is, which is good enough and nothing more. Web components think the browser and the HTML elements we have now aren't good enough. They don't believe in the vision. They don't trust us. And as such, we don't trust them. LaTeX tier for sure. The generic section element, as opposed to the not generic section element. There isn't a more specific element to represent. This one makes me have to think too much. I don't like thinking when I pick my elements, so D tier it is. What is small? Is that going to be some weird font thing again? Side comment. Is that styled? Okay, so to be clear, the fact they had to make the font size smaller for their example of the small element, tisk. Y'all know better. The call HTML element is for columns. Oh, I thought these weren't a thing. It's call grouping. Oh, yeah, this is where tables go from fun to evil. So something from table had to get a D tier. Column is definitely the thing. I'm scared of template. Oh no. Wait, but maybe instantiated subsequently during runtime using JavaScript. So on one hand, this is cool because it means you can actually have HTML with different things in it and not need to keep that info in JavaScript. But on the other hand, you can't use this until JavaScript puts it somewhere. This is feeling more and more web component-y as I think about it. And you know how we feel about web component-y. What's SAMP? Sample, obviously, of some form. Sample output. It's another just bad pre-tag. So many of these are just bad pre-tags. Okay. Embed. Embed can be used for a lot of things. Honestly, embed is like video, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not like breaking out of its role. And also, fair point. Embed did make this. Probably Embed is the creator of this tier list, so we have to give it an S tier. Call group. We've already been talking about columns. That goes in here with that. Center, the solution to everyone's favorite meme that HTML is hard to center an element. Why not just use center? S tier for sure. Footer, nobody scrolls to the bottom of websites. D tier. Span, I have a lot of feelings about span. I'm going to put span in B tier and I'm not going to justify it, so I'm sorry. Now our last two, classics, essentials. Good old label. It looks better without their bad default styling. I like label because of the for and the type. And again, it's one of those things that makes it so you don't need JavaScript. I'm leaning a high tier. It can be a little jank, so I think I'm going to go B, not A. And now header. Header was a classic. Header was one of the first essential HTML elements. It was the first thing other than HTML and head that you would be parsing. But the fact there's also head as well as header means that it's not as clear what it's doing, and reading your HTML can get annoying there. On top of that, the thing at the top of your page is nav. It is. So I don't think this element's aged very well. I'm leaning D tier. I should have been in presentation mode this whole time, shouldn't I have? Yeah. Whatever. Our tier list is complete. We've done it. What a journey. I can't believe I just ranked every HTML element. I'll have a link in the description to this tier list if you want to make your own and bully me for how bad mine was. Huge shout out again to ProbablyEmbed for making the tier list in the first place so we could do this. I've wanted to do this piece of content for so long. I literally had this idea like 8 or so months ago, and it's just been haunting me since, kind of like a lot of these elements have been, and probably will be for the rest of my life. So how about you? What's your favorite HTML element? And also, what's your least favorite? What's the hottest take I put in here that you don't agree with? And if you want to be mad at me for other things like JavaScript, here's a video about how you're using JavaScript incorrectly. Thank you guys as always. Really appreciate it. Peace, nerds.